no, you're good. Keep that lovely music going. We're enjoying it as everyone zooms into this space. Thank you so much for being here. Buenas tardes. Thank you for joining. We'll give a moment for everyone to join our space today. Good evening and welcome. Hello and welcome. We're so glad that you're here. Buenas tardes. Muchas gracias por estar aquí. Vamos a comenzar en unos minutos. Estamos esperando a que todos se unen a este espacio. Buenas tardes a todos. So good evening, everyone. It's so good to have you here with us. Region East is kicking off the 25-26 choices on the first day of the application window opening. So aquí estamos en la región este, entrando a la aplicación para los choices, para las opciones, el primer día de que se abre la aplicación. So we are here because we want you to be in the know, the first to know, the first to be informed anywhere in our district. So we have great information for you tonight. Queremos que ustedes son los primeros en saber el proceso y de la aplicación para que puedan estar al tanto de lo que está pasando, y tenemos una presentación excelente para ustedes hoy día. Muchas gracias por unirse a nosotros hoy en la tarde. We have, my name is Megan Guerrero. Here with me, here on the screen is, we are your Region East Family and Community Engagement Administrators. Amaris Medina, Megan Guerrero, somos sus administradores del involucramiento de padres aquí en la región este. And I would like to get us started this evening by introducing our Region East Superintendent. Would you please give a warm round of emoji applause to Mr. Jose Huerta, our Region East Superintendent. Mr. Huerta?
Well, thank you so much, Megan and Amaris, for hosting this great meeting on the first day of the Choices window. I want to welcome everybody to the Region East Choices webinar. It's a Choices fair, and we really believe here in Region East that we have the best programs for all of you to have your students participate in. We have magnet themes. You know that we have tons of magnet themes. We have dual language programs at the elementary level, at the middle school, and the high schools. And so it's for all types of learners. We have options, and we really are happy that you're joining us today. But, I know you're going to have a lot of questions, and we're not only going to do the webinar. We're also letting you know right now that you will have an opportunity to meet some of the teachers and some of the administrators of the schools that you're thinking about applying for your students. We're going to have a big in-person fair on Saturday, October 26th at Esteban Torres High School in East Los Angeles. So that's the Saturday. I hope to see all of you there. We'll be there, where you're going to have an opportunity to learn from the programs and hear firsthand what they have to offer at each school. So you get two doses. You get the webinar today, where we're going to cover all the important information that you need about applying and about some of the pathways that we offer here in East. But then you're going to have a second opportunity on the 26th of October to not only know about these things, you're going to come with a toolkit already, and you're going to get to meet the folks that are running the schools. So hopefully we can do this, and I hope that we can do this efficiently, and I'm sure that you're going to love all the options. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Huerta. And I know we're going to talk about dual language programs. Because I haven't set up the translation yet, would you mind giving a quick greeting and hello en español?
Sí, muy buenas tardes. Gracias. Gracias por esta oportunidad de platicar con ustedes, padres. Sé que hoy es el día que se abre la ventanilla de platicar acerca de los choices, que van a tener las oportunidades ustedes de escoger una escuela para sus estudiantes, para sus hijos. Puede ser en dual language, en magnet, diferentes opciones, ¿verdad? Que van a tener ustedes, que estoy seguro que ya han visto o ya tienen un interés ahí en mente. Hoy van a recibir toda esa información porque nosotros aquí en la región de veras creemos que tenemos las mejores oportunidades para sus hijos, muchísimas opciones. Como saben, tenemos casi 250 escuelas donde ofrecemos muchas oportunidades. Y no solamente hoy vamos a tener esto, hoy se abre la ventanilla, hoy van a aprender de los expertos, de todo, de cómo aplicar, de todas las preguntas que tengan, se las vamos a poder contestar. Pero también pongan esto en su calendario, el 26 de octubre, el sábado 26 de octubre, vamos a tener a las escuelas allí representando en una feria de choices en la escuela preparatoria de Torres High School. Esteban Torres en el este de Los Ángeles. Allí van a tener la oportunidad de no solamente aprender lo que van a aprender hoy, sino van a poder conocer a los maestros, a los principales de las escuelas que ustedes están interesados en participar para sus hijos. Entonces, vamos a tener hay mucho que aprender hoy y también el 26 de octubre van a poder conocer a los maestros, como dije anteriormente, y todos los que corren las escuelas que ustedes quieren participar. Gracias.
Muchas gracias, señor Huerta. Our Region East Superintendent, we are so glad that you could join us this evening. Thank you to our Region East Superintendent, Mr. Jose Huerta, just highlighting more opportunities. We want you, parents, to have options. Queremos que tengan muchas opciones. All our kids learn differently and excel in different ways. And so we really want you to know that there are many options for your children here in LA Unified and then especially in Region East. Hay muchas opciones para ustedes, para sus familias, para sus hijos en el distrito y además también aquí en la región este, porque tenemos muchas escuelas. So if we could go to the next slide, I would like to get the translation set up. There's my team and Amaris is here as well and supporting this event to bring you this information, parents. Queremos apoyar a este evento para traerles información hoy día. We are your Region East Face team. If you would like to, this session this evening will be presented in English with simultaneous translation in Spanish. If you would like to participate in English, I ask you to please click the globe icon at the bottom of your screen if you're on a computer or laptop, and please select the language of preference. You will engage and listen to the presentation in the language you select. So ahorita vamos a comenzar con la interpretación. Esta presentación se va a presentar en inglés con interpretación simultánea en español. Por favor, hagan clic en el símbolo del mundo en la parte de abajo de su pantalla y seleccione el idioma que le gustaría escuchar y participar hoy día. Usted participará y escuchará la presentación en el idioma que seleccione. Si está en su aparato móvil, van a seleccionar, let's see, should be the next line. Si está if you're on your telephone, if you could, oh, we're missing a slide. That's okay. If you're on your mobile phone, if you can select the 3 dots that say more and click language interpretation, and then you will see the choices for tonight's, you will choose the language that you would like to listen and participate. Si está en su teléfono, en su aparato móvil, por favor seleccione los 3 puntitos donde dice más y van a seleccionar interpretación de idiomas y seleccionar español o inglés, el idioma que le gustaría escuchar y participar en este seminario web. Perdone que no tenemos la gráfica aquí, pero sí van a seleccionar los 3 puntitos ahí que pueden ver en la pantalla y dice interpretación de idiomas para seleccionar su idioma. I'm sorry we don't have the graphic on the screen, but on your mobile phone, you'll select interpretation on the 3 dots that say more and choose language interpretation. This is how you could access closed captioning. If that is easier for you to access tonight's content, you will click on the meeting settings under the 3 dots and choose live transcript, closed captioning. You will be able to see the live transcript in English. Thank you for your patience. We know that there's going to be a lot of questions and information tonight. We invite you to use the emojis as you did when you welcomed our superintendent. We would ask that you use the Q&A to ask and answer questions. We will be answering your questions throughout and also highlighting some of your common questions live during this presentation. Please use the Q&A. It's a great way to keep track of who has answered your questions, and you can interact with those folks directly as they are answering you in the Q&A. We do have the chat open as well. We might ask questions for you to engage with the presenters. However, we do recommend using the Q&A for asking your questions. All right, and you can see we have a team behind the scenes already answering your questions. So here we go. We are going to go ahead and go to the next slide and get this presentation started. We hope that you have connected to the interpretation. And at this time, I would like to introduce to you Dunya Fernandez, who is the Program and Policy Development Advisor for different school design options in LAUSD. Dunya, thank you for being here and providing this information for our Region East families.
Good evening. Thank you, Ms. Guerrero. Welcome, everybody. We are happy to be here and share a ton of information that we hope you will find useful as you think about the options for next school year. Next, please. Okay, first I'd like to have the team in Region East who support strategic enrollment and program planning.
Hi, thank you so much, Dunya. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Martha Cox. I'm one of 3 strategic enrollment counselors for Region East, and I'll hand it over to Megan.
Hi, good evening. My name is Megan George. I am also one of the 3 strategic enrollment PSA counselors with Region East.
You are muted.
Sorry about that. Good evening, families. My name is Adolfo Gonzalez, and I'm also a strategic enrollment counselor with Region East. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, team. Next, please. Okay, so we are going to begin. And as Ms. Guerrero said, this is information hot off the presses because today is the first day that the application opened. The purpose of this application and why we have it in one place, it is because it's a common application where you can apply to multiple programs using just one application. You only have to keep track of one timeline, one deadline, and it's also an easy place for you to look for information for our schools. The website where you can find all this information is choices.lausd.net, as you can see at the bottom of the screen there. Next. When you enter our website, this is what you're going to find. It is a website that has all of our programs listed on there. They're color-coded at the bottom of the page. And as you click on each of these fingers that you see at the bottom, you will be able to get information about each of them. At the top of the website, you will see our menu, which is across all of our sites. You can click on that green button when you're ready to apply. At any point on any of our web pages here, you can click on that button. And you will note a little reminder there in red that tells you when the application is taking place. So you can see there that it started today, October 1st, and it's going through November 15th. And there's also a site there where you can click on need help, and that actually will take you to contact information so that you can contact the programs or find their FAQs to get some answers that you might not be able to find on your own. Next. Now, when you are ready to apply, let's say you did your homework, you went searching, you found everything you needed to know, and you narrowed down your list to the programs that you're interested in applying to, and you're ready to apply. This is the page where you would go to. because this is where you start the process by logging in. The website is apply.lausd.net. And for those of you who are parents of LA Unified, you might see that this is familiar to you because this is the same place where you would log into your parent portal account. So we made it easy for you to be able to use the same username and the same password to be able to access this application. Now, if you are new to the district or if you don't use the parent portal, don't worry, you can still access the application. You can register an account. So you will see two buttons there at the bottom. One says register and one says log in. If you have an account, you click on log in. If you don't have an account, then you click on register. And the only thing you need to be able to register is an email. You do not need a PIN number. You do not need a student ID number. Okay, all you need is an email. Once you register, you will get an email to your email address that's going to ask you to confirm. And then you're ready to go. If at any time you find yourself stuck, you need additional help, you can always contact our support line, which is 213-241-4177. This is not a first come, first serve application. So it opened today at 8 a.m., but it doesn't matter if you applied at 8 a.m., at 8:01 a.m. It doesn't matter if you apply a week from now. As long as it's before the deadline, you're okay. Next. This is what our School Explorer looks like. This is where you can look at the school profiles individually. So you can start by looking at your address or by searching for the school name. So in that bar there in the middle that you see there, when you start typing in there, you can put your address and then search by grade level for the program that you're looking for, or you can enter a keyword. For example, let's say you're interested in performing arts. So you would enter that. So you could enter music, for example, and it will give you the programs that have that specific keyword, and it's done by order of location. So from distance from where you're located. Okay, so if you have location activated on your computer, wherever you're located, it's going to give you the distance from there. And if you're at home, it's going to give you programs that are closest to your home, all the way to the last program that exists in the school district. And if you want to go directly to this website, you can go to explore.lausd.net, which is at the bottom of the screen here. You can also toggle, one more thing, you can also toggle this in Spanish. On the right-hand side of this screen there, you will see it says language. If you click on language, it will allow you to have this translated to Spanish, and all of our sites are actually able to be translated to Spanish. Okay, next. Now, this is where we have all of our programs and information for the programs. If you want to select on them individually, you want to learn a little bit more about that, you can also click on them. They're color-coded, they have an icon, and everywhere that you see on the choices brochure, these are color-coded to that. The icons are matched to that, so you can find that information either on the paper brochure or by going online here. Next. So what do we have available for you families? We have a few things going on, okay? One is what you're in right now, which are our virtual school fairs. And then we also have in-person school fairs, just like East is hosting one on October 26th at Esteban Torres High School. We are focusing on online brochures and application because it's the easiest way to submit your application. And more importantly, it's the fastest way to get communication from us. Because if you send it via regular US postal mail, it is going to take some time before we receive the application, and when we send information back, it's going to take some time for you to get it at home. So if you are able to submit online, you should do so. And if you need assistance with that, there are many people who can help you with that, starting with the strategic enrollment counselors that were introduced earlier today. The next thing is, if you need, back please. If you need paper applications, you can pick them up at several locations, okay? You can go to the region offices, you can go to the Student, Family, and Community Engagement office, and you can pick one up at a school site. So all of our school sites will be getting brochures. They should be getting them by the end of this week, and if you don't get them at the end of this week, you can look early next week. And then we have our enrollment counselors, which introduce themselves today. You can schedule an appointment with them, you can email them, you can call them, and they can support you in that process. And finally, we have our support hotline, which I mentioned earlier. When you get stuck, you can always call any of the program offices utilizing that number. Next. So now let's get into the programs. How many programs are in our choices application? We have 6 programs. And as you can see, there is a ton of programs across the district for each of these programs. For example, Magnet has 334 programs. Our dual language programs and our programs that are under multilingual, multicultural programs, they have more than 230 programs. And all of these are for programs for the 25-26 school year, okay? Now, I'm gonna go to the next slide and start talking to you a little bit more about each program. So for our magnet programs, you will see here, you will have presentations from each of these programs that are going to go into detail about this. But I just wanted to let you know some of the more important things, which is magnet programs. It is for students who live within the LA Unified School boundary, okay? The multilingual, multicultural programs, those are for students who live in and outside of the boundary. So preference is given to the LA Unified boundary students, and then anybody else can also apply, even if you don't live in our area. Then we have Schools for Advanced Studies, and this is a program that also has a resident boundary area for those who live within Los Angeles Unified, and there are also priorities given to local schools, the resident schools. Next. Our unique education pathways, this was called formerly, as of last year, it was called Admission Criteria Schools. We have changed the name and it is now called Unique Education Pathways. A few things to know about this is that there are 8 programs. In the east side, we have one of those programs, which is the Early College Academy program. Affiliated charter schools, these are charter schools that are managed by Los Angeles Unified School District. The difference between these and our independent charter schools is that they follow all of LA Unified policies and procedures, but they do have some autonomies to make determinations for their school site for several things. And it is also one of the programs that requires a lottery process in case there are not enough seats available. And then our last program here is permits with transportation. This is every year we have certain schools that are identified as participating in this program. And if a student is in one of those schools, then they'll be able to apply to a program where they will be provided transportation. Next. Our choices timeline. So this is how you know where you are in the school year in terms of the choices process. So we start on the left-hand side in the green section that starts off today. So between today and November 15th is our application period. Don't forget the deadline is November 15th. And you can access the application by going to choices.lausd.net to get information. And you can also present the application in paper format. Then we go into the next section, which is December. In December, anybody who applied to any one of our programs will get what we call a confirmation correction letter. What that means is one of two things. If there are no errors on the application, it will let you know that the application will proceed to be processed. And if there are corrections that need to be made, it will let you know, the parent, what needs to be corrected, and you will be given an opportunity to make those corrections. This is also a time for those students who have applied to a unique pathway programs to contact the school or the school to contact the families to be able to discuss what the program expectations are for those particular pathways. Then we move on to 2025. In the blue section, in February, we have our program eligibility letters, and these are for both the gifted magnet programs, Schools for Advanced Studies, and also for some of our UEP programs. And in February, also, we have the late application, and that will open on February 3rd. Now, the late application is different than the on-time application because it is first come, first serve. So you want to get there as soon as possible. And you can submit multiple applications for the late application. So it's not just one common application, it's multiple applications for any of the programs you would like to apply to. Then we move on to March. March is the selection period. That is when parents will receive letters letting them know if a student was admitted to a program or was waitlisted. And once you have that information, you will have to make a decision. And the deadline for that decision will be in April. You will have to determine which of those programs that your child was offered a seat you are going to take, because it is a binding decision. Meaning, once you make that decision, you can't change it. If you got to either accept or decline. Then we have May through August, and this is a period that parents must complete the enrollment process. This process that we're talking about today is called an application, meaning you are applying to a program, and if you are offered a seat, you accept the program. Once you accept that seat, you have to complete that enrollment process at the school site. And if you're new to LA Unified, you can also do the pre-enrollment online. Next, please. Okay, before I go into the other explanations of the programs, we're gonna have a few minutes to ask any questions.
Okay, and before we do that, just in case anybody joined late, this is being presented in English, but we do have translation in Spanish, so we want to make sure you can access that. There were a few comments in the chat. So si acaban de unirse a esta sesión y quieren escuchar en español, hay traducción en español. Si van abajo de su pantalla y seleccionar el idioma, el globo y el icono del globo, pueden seleccionar el inglés o en español. O si está en su teléfono, puede seleccionar los 3 puntitos donde dice más, seleccionar interpretación de idiomas y seleccionar inglés o español. So I just want to make sure that you know this is being presented in English, but there is simultaneous Spanish translation. Okay? And then I just wanted to elevate one more thing, because I thought there was a great comment in the chat. And there are many questions already. We are answering them as we go. We will try to answer all your questions. We see them in the Q&A, which we prefer. So if you can ask your questions in the Q&A, that's the best place to get an individual response. But we do see your questions in the chat. And please, there was a great question about students with special needs. And I wanted to repeat the answer in the chat in Spanish as well. We, of course, encourage your children with special needs or with IEPs are always allowed to apply in the Choices program. We encourage you to talk to the schools that you're interested in applying to. And Ms. Megan George put a beautiful response in English, and I just want to make sure that everyone knows in Spanish que los estudiantes con necesidades especiales pueden escoger el programa de Choices. Ustedes les animamos a que vayan a la escuela a buscar información de los programas que tengan para que puedan saber exactamente si van a poder dar los apoyos a sus hijos necesarios para ellos, ¿ok? Pero por favor, pueden aplicar, está abierto a todos, all right? I just want to make sure we repeated that. So, Dunya, I think we can go ahead and continue. I know that behind the scenes, folks are...
I do want to highlight a couple of questions.
Great. Okay.
Just repeat it. This application period is for the next school year, okay? It is for 2025-2026. So you are actually applying about a year in advance. The other question is it first come, first serve? No, the on-time application is not first come, first serve. So you can apply anytime between October 1st and November 15th. In fact, if you change your mind, you can go in there and change your application as well. Or if you want to add a program or add a school, you can do that as well. And then the other thing is there's a question there about zones of choice, and can you apply to that? Yes, zones of choice is not included in this presentation because it's not considered one of the 6 programs, because it is a resident program, meaning if you live in a certain zone, you will be eligible for the schools that are within that zone. You can apply to both a Choices program and zones of choice. So zones of choice is kind of like your safety seat, meaning it's going to save you a seat in your resident program, and it's not going to impact the Choices application. They are 2 separate applications, but the easy thing is that you can apply using the same account, okay? All right, we're going to move on to the next slide. Now, affiliated charter schools, I did see a question about that. Says, can you apply to an affiliated charter? And can you apply to an affiliated charter if you do not live in LAUSD boundaries? And the answer is yes. Okay, these are schools that have certain self-autonomies. For example, they determine their class schedule, their calendar, for example. And it is open to all students. Okay, priority is given to LAUSD students, but we do accept students from outside of the area. And then finally, I mentioned that it has a lottery. So if many more students want to apply to that school than there are seats available, they have to conduct a lottery. And this is a public lottery so that you know where in the lottery you fall. Next. And our unique education pathways, I mentioned there is one in the East, and that's the Early College Academy. We have 8 programs. Of those 8, 4 of those are dual enrollment college programs. The students are actually taking classes. The school is located on a college campus. We have 2 schools that promote single gender enrollment. We have a girls' academy and a boys' academy. And then we have 2 programs that promote a highly rigorous academic program, which we call the honors program. And now, next slide, I will turn it over to our next presenter, Felipe Echevarri.
Good afternoon, parents and Region East community. I'm here today to talk about our magnet programs. I am your Region East magnet coordinator with LA Unified. So what are magnet programs? So magnet programs are theme-based programs. We do have a kind of sort of complex priority point system. Transportation may be provided to the majority of our students, and eligibility, again, it's only available to students that reside within the district boundaries. Again, the reason magnet programs were created were due to a court order, and therefore only LAUSD resident students are able to participate in the magnet programs. Next slide, please. So again, the majority of our magnet themes have a theme attached to it. So we have schools in the career and social entrepreneurship programs, such as business magnets. We have law magnets. We have police academy magnets. We have medical magnets in this section. We also have centers for enriched studies, liberal arts schools. We have schools that deal with science, technology, engineering, and math. We have new media magnets, and then we also have magnets that address the gifted and the highly gifted student. And the last ones we have is our visual and performing arts schools. We have music magnets, performing arts magnets, drama schools, and so forth and so on. So again, there'll be something that may spark the interest of your student, and we have the ability for that child to then participate in a program that addresses their instructional interest. Next slide, please. Again, transportation is available to students. A lot of people confuse the PWT program with applying for transportation, and that's not the case. Again, transportation is offered to you automatically if you live outside a 1-mile radius from an elementary school or outside a 2-mile radius from a secondary program. Again, this year we started a process by which you have to opt in for transportation. So if you go into your parent account, you can say you want to opt in for transportation. And if you live outside those radiuses, then the transportation will be afforded to you if there is a bus already available, okay? So again, there is no need to say, I want to apply for it. You just have to opt in for it, which is a little bit different. Next slide, please. Again, for the gifted and highly gifted programs, applicants to highly gifted magnets must be formally identified as highly gifted or highly gifted applicable. And again, once we get to the Schools for Advanced Studies section, our partners will talk a little bit more about the gifted verification process, which is what we do for our students who want to apply to gifted magnets, but are not identified. So if you're identified, there's nothing you need to do. But and if you're a district student and you apply, again, we will do the process of verifying for you. The only students that would need to worry about submitting a verification form will be those that are students not currently enrolled in an LAUSD school. Next slide, please. Again, a verification of eligibility, like I mentioned earlier, is not required for applicants who are currently enrolled in LA Unified, but verification recommendations are provided by the School of Attendance based on evidence that the student does or does not meet the eligibility criteria. So again, the school that you're currently enrolled at will be doing the verification of eligibility. Next slide. Verification status, again, does not roll over from year to year unless the student remains in the same school or program. So if you apply again for another year, this whole process will happen again. Let's say the child matriculates from elementary to middle school or middle school to high school. Again, that's a different program. So this whole process will be done all over again. Again, whatever recommendation or verification is done by the administrator at the school site, again, that is a final determination. Next slide, please. The magnet selection process. So again, you may apply for up to 3 magnet programs, but a lot of parents think that they have to apply to 3 magnet programs. Again, that's not a requirement. If you're interested in only one magnet, let's say I want my child to go to Bravo Medical Magnet, or I want my child to go to Roosevelt High School, then only put that choice as your option. You don't have to do 3, but you have the option of doing 3. So if you choose up to 3 choices, then whatever points you earn will be used for all of the choices you put on the application. Students, if you are selected, then you will not be placed on a waiting list. But if you're not selected, meaning all of the choices that you put down are full by the time they get to your child's name, then you will only be placed on the waiting list for your first choice. So again, even though you put multiple choices down, once you get your selection or waiting list letter, it will only have one school on it. Next slide. Magnet Priority Point System. Again, we're the only program that has this system. And again, that was all due to the court order. But again, if you have a sibling attending the magnet that your child is applying to, that application will receive 3 additional points. Again, the more points you have, the better chances of getting into a magnet program. One of the questions that came through were, how many points do I need? Well, that really all depends on the school. At some schools, you could have 16 points, but if 500 kids applied and they all have 16 points, then it's going to be hard to get in. You could apply to another school and have that same number of points and still get in with no problem. Okay, so it just really depends on the school and how many people apply. Okay, in order for you to receive the sibling points, the only way we determine whether or not they're siblings is that they have the exact same address. And again, that's going to be determined by the school of enrollment. And also you want to make sure that when you do the application and you have these students on your application, that you say that they're siblings on your account. Next slide, please. Overcrowded points. Again, we have very few year-round schools. We do have a few overcrowded schools, but none in Region East. But if your school is determined to be overcrowded, you are given an additional 4 points. Next slide. This one, the majority of our schools in Region East are considered what we call a FABAO school, which stands for predominantly Hispanic, Black, Asian, or other non-Anglo. That's a typo right there. Again, if that is the determination of your resident school, then you are assigned 4 points on your application. Next slide, please. Waiting list points. Again, you can accumulate waiting list points. So if you don't get selected to a magnet and you're placed on a waiting list and you apply the following year, you will get an additional 4 points on your application. And you can continue accumulating these points for a maximum of 3 years or 12 points. Again, they have to be consecutive 3 years. Again, the more times you apply and you don't get in, we try to make sure that you have a better chance the following year by giving you these points. Again, if you decline to accept an offer, any of those waiting list points you accrued will be removed. Next slide. The last one is called the matriculation points, and this is what we give to our students that are current magnet students. So if you're currently a magnet student and you want to matriculate from one level to the next, meaning you're going from an elementary school to a middle school, or you're going from middle school to high school, we want you to continue being a magnet student. So we will assign your application 12 points at the time of matriculation, meaning you completed the highest grade level of the current magnet and you want to move on to the next one. We cannot combine waiting list points with matriculation points because they will be basically both the same. Both you can earn up to 12 points. Next slide. Magnet choices process. Again, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but if you make multiple choices, when again, the second and the third are optional. Again, if you're selected to your first choice, again, none of the other choices matter because you got into your first choice and you'll get a letter saying you've been selected to your first choice. However, if that choice didn't have any space and you selected a second option, then we go to that option and try the whole selection process again. If you have space at that school, you get a letter saying you've been selected to your second option. Again, if there's no space there, we will take a look at your third choice and see if there's space there. If there's space at your third choice, you get a letter saying you've been selected to that choice and so forth and so on. If none of the choices have space, you will be waitlisted on your first choice only. So once again, you only get one of those choices you made on your selection or waiting list letter. Next slide. All right, I know I covered a lot of information, but I know we have a lot of programs that are here today. I am going to stick around for the entire session, and I will be answering any questions you may have via the chat. Thank you for your time, and good luck with your application.
Felipe, can I ask you a question that was posted? And that is, if your child is currently attending a magnet school and you apply to another magnet school, not matriculating, but just the next grade level, will you lose your seat at the school where you're currently attending?
Yes, if you are selected only. If you're placed on the waiting list, you will not. If you are selected, again, you can only be selected or accepted at one program, but you can be waitlisted or late listed on multiple ones. So again, if you apply for another magnet and they select you initially from the selection process, again, even if you don't accept or decline, selection, meaning you got a letter saying you've been selected, you're automatically removed from your other magnet, and that magnet space will be given to other students in the selection process. So good question, because we get those questions asked a lot, but usually they ask it after they got removed from their magnet. So better to know now before.
Great. Dunya, were there any other questions you wanted to elevate at this time?
No, I think that's it.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you for your
I have
time.
a lot of questions waiting for you in the chat. And the
I'm
Q&A.
ready. I got my typewriter fingers ready.
Okay, get those fingers ready and we'll get
Adios.
typing. Well, okay, thank you so much. We're going to move on to our next presenters. We want to share with you Miss Maris. Hello.
Hey, right now we'd like to present our multilingual, multicultural section. And at this time, we're going to introduce Ms. Luz Baltazar, who's going to take us through those programs.
Good
Ms.
afternoon,
Baltazar.
everybody. Ni hao, buenas tardes. My name is Luz Baltazar. I am representing the multilingual, multicultural programs. We offer 235 dual language programs throughout the district. Many of our programs are focusing on two languages, English and a target language. 50% of the day is in English, 50% of the day is in English in all of the instructional areas. LAUSD residents and non-resident students are eligible for our programs. And we offer 7 languages: Arabic, Armenian, French, Japanese, Korean, Mandarin, and Spanish. So our programs, we offer them a wide ranging of dual language programs. We have some that are 50-50, which is the majority of our groups. And we have some that are 70%, 30%, meaning that we start with the target language a little heavier in that instruction, and then we move to a more of a 50-50 model. So we give this opportunity to our students to be able to develop that multilingual and that multicultural skills that are necessary to be great leaders in our communities and in the global society. So you see 130 programs here. It's 235 because some of our schools are span schools and they have elementary, middle, and high school in their school site. So just know that we do have those different programs. So in Region East, we have 86 programs. We offer Spanish, Mandarin, and Arabic. You see the other regions and the languages that they offer. Many of our programs are community-based. The community wanted to establish those programs, and that's why they continue growing in each of our regions. So what are our goals? So for our program, our 3 goals are being bilingual and biliterate, being able to read, write, understand, and comprehend in both those languages, that academic proficiency. So no matter what the standard is in English, our students are learning it also in that target language. And then that social cultural competence. So they are not only learning from other cultures, but they're also understanding other cultures and are more open to the differences and the common practices, beliefs that we have. So those are our goals throughout UTK and 12 in our dual language education programs. We have several benefits of becoming and being a bilingual and biliterate student. Number one is that our brain and our cognitive function, so it improves that decision-making skill, better problem solving. It opens up to not just thinking in one language, but in multiple languages, which then improves that academic performance, that those language courses that they're taking, and they have the opportunity to receive our LAUSD Pathway Awards, and finally, when they graduate, those California Seal of Biliteracies that I will show you how they look a little in the later in the presentation. Because they speak multiple languages, there is an increased demand for bilingual students or graduates, which improves that economic success, as well as cross-cultural competency, again, awareness and understanding of other cultures. And then many of our community-based programs in our dual language programs, they started because they wanted to strengthen their family and heritage connection. They were losing their language, and they're opening programs so that they are learning English or learning that heritage language so that they can continue enriching those family beliefs and history. So those are the benefits for being bilingual and biliterate. So our multilingual journey, here is the pathway as we are supporting our dual language students. We're showing them the love of maintaining their heritage language, or as they're learning a new language, they are provided awards. They're looking at the criteria, seeing that they're meeting those goals starting from UTK. And then we have kinder, first, third grade, fifth, and then eighth, and then 12th grade, with 2 awards that are presented in their diplomas, and then also in their transcripts that they are biliterate and bicultural. In these awards, I do want to disclose that they are available for any student in our district, not just dual language. The dual language education programs are providing more access or a better success in receiving each of these awards. But if your child is in any specialized program, magnet, your residency school, and they speak 2 languages, 3 languages, the school can also support them in receiving these awards. So we do want to honor all our students, no matter what specialized program or what school they're in. So please know that. So who can apply? You could apply for our programs. It's available for all students within our district or outside of our district with an approved permit. Next slide. Thank you. For our UTK kinder and first grade, it doesn't matter the language classification of those students. If they speak the target language, they can be part of it. If they speak English, there's English speakers at UTK kinder and first grade, they can be part, as they are starting the foundation to develop both academic English and that target language. So they can be part of those programs. For students eligible from 2nd through 12th grade, English learners of that target language can apply for the programs. English speaking students, they can apply for the program. There is a target language verification required for those new to the district, new to a dual language in 2nd to 12th grade. And we want you to make an informed decision that if they are starting later in the grades, you know where their proficiency level is and if that is the best placement for them. Next slide. So how are students selected? So we do have the 6 priorities. So our programs are prioritized for our residential students for that dual language program. If you live close to that dual language program and you belong there, you have priority 1 and 2. If you live within our district, not in that school's attendance boundary, you do have those other priorities. And then students that are coming from outside of the district and have the later priorities. So based on that, there are a few schools that have a little exclamation point at the bottom. Please contact those schools so that you know what their alternative selection process is, as they do follow the same priorities, but they might be in a different order. Next slide. Oh, sorry, I have it in Spanish there too. Next slide. So choices application process, the same as our other programs. You may apply up to 3 dual language programs, but it is not required the 2nd and that 3rd school. Priority points are not given for dual language programs. Selected students will not be put on a wait list, and if not selected for any of the DLE programs applied, students will be placed on the waiting list for their first choice. Know that for dual language schools, you can apply at any time. However, it is highly encouraged for you to apply during the on time so that those schools that have high applicants, you have a higher probability of getting your child getting into that program and being offered a seat. So as the magnets talked about the process of the application, first choice, if selected, the system will place the student and that school's active list. The 2nd and 3rd choice will not be processed. If not selected, the system will then proceed to your 2nd choice and will not place the student into the first school's waiting list. So if you put a 2nd choice, then the process will continue. If they got selected for their 2nd choice, then all of the other schools that you selected will be removed and your child will not be placed in their waiting list. In the 3rd choice as well, if say you didn't get in your 1st choice or your 2nd choice, then there's a higher probability that you get into that 3rd choice. Again, you will be removed from the waiting list of the other choices. And if you're not selected to any of those schools, then you will be placed in your first choice waiting list. So you can find all this information in many of our pages in our choices brochure. Thank you. So we do have 57 schools that offer UTK. So I do encourage you to go into the choices brochure under the dual language or the multilingual, multicultural programs in the dual language section so that you could see what UTK offerings we have in all the multiple languages. You can always call the school to confirm as schools are adding UTK programs as they're noticing that their community are requesting it. Know that there is an age requirement. And so as you submit your application, it will let you know if your child is eligible for a UTK based on their birthday. So again, when do I apply? This is the on-time application window. Started today, will end November 15. Although we have enrollment all year, know that you have a higher opportunity to be selected in offering a seat in any of our dual language programs that have high applications if you apply during the on-time window. And then I don't know, Dunia, if you see any questions, but I will definitely go into the chat and answer any questions that you might have. You can always call the hotline if a question comes up, and we will definitely support you and in getting the answers you need. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, Luz. I will highlight a couple of questions that I see on there. One of them is, can you obtain a certification, a bilingual certification or bilingual, what is it, seal of literacy for students who are in these programs?
Yes,
Sorry,
because of,
let me correct that.
oh.
Must you be bilingual in order to obtain this certification?
So in order for you to get the seal of biliteracy in the senior year, you do have to have that certification, meaning the completion of language courses. Students do take the assessment for that, for criteria for a 5th, for an 8th, and for our seniors, they do take an assessment to see what their proficiency level is. And based on our criteria, they will get those awards. For secondary, the state of California provides criteria of what they have to meet in order for them to be able to get the state seal of biliteracy. LAUSD has their own criteria as well. And so it's completed in multiple ways. It could be coursework, classes, language of other than English courses, or it could also be taken in a P class or exam. So if you have more information, you could always contact the World Language Department to provide you with that information.
Thank you. One more question. Do you have any new Mandarin programs for middle schools and high schools?
At this moment, the schools that we have are the only ones that we have available. Again, it's community-based. If at any time now till this school year, the community is asking for programs to be open, then we will support those schools and those communities to be able to see if they can open a program.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Baltasar. And we know that we have so many multilingual, multicultural programs in Region East. So we're happy to be able to share those with our families and community here today. To talk about schools for advanced studies, we have Mr. Kevin Kilpatrick here, who is going to tell us a little bit more about your programs. Go ahead, take it away, Mr. Kilpatrick.
Thank you, Amaris. Buenas tardes. My name is Kevin Kilpatrick. I'm a district coordinator with Gifted and Talented Programs Advanced Learning Options, and I'm pleased to be here today to share more about Schools for Advanced Studies. I am joined by my colleague, Graciana Forbes, who will be assisting to respond to your questions in Q&A. Schools for Advanced Studies is a gifted and talented GATE program. K-12 schools receive the School for Advanced Studies designation for exemplary practices in meeting the unique academic and social emotional needs of gifted and high ability learners. However, please note that all K-12 schools in the district program, including your school of residence, must offer GATE services and support. SAS is one of many GATE educational options in Los Angeles Unified School District. Next slide. Oh, I think we jumped in one extra slide. We can go to the next slide. Next one. Okay. A formal choices application is not required for qualified students who reside within the school boundaries. You would simply enroll as a resident student, and if eligible, your child would be placed in a GATE SAS class. An SAS site may accept LAUSD students who reside outside the school's attendance boundaries after all qualified students who reside within the boundaries have been accommodated. And these students may apply through the choices process. You can go to the Choices website to find more information about the application and verification, and you may also contact us directly through the Choices support line, which was shared earlier by Dunya, or emailing gate@lausd.net. Specific questions about verification can be emailed to giftedverification@lausd.net. Next slide. Okay, I think one more slide after that. Okay. There are 3 eligibility criteria. These are identical criteria that Felipe spoke about earlier for gifted magnets. So you have to either be identified as gifted, meet standardized test scores from the most recent year in the choices brochure. You can check that out. It's mostly your ESPA and the spring tests you take, or demonstrate the ability to meet all 4 critical and thinking problem solving skills. And that can be done in the primary language. It doesn't have to be in English. It can be done in the primary language, and if they meet those, then they can become eligible. You do not need to be identified gifted to apply for the school. Next slide. To clarify, students do not need to be identified gifted to be eligible for SAS. They can be verified by the superintendent as demonstrating critical thinking and problem-solving skills in their primary language. To ensure equitable access, all 3 criteria carry equal weight in the selection process. Next slide. How is SAS eligibility verified for students who are not identified as gifted or do not have qualified test scores? These students must be verified based on a criterion C, the 4 critical thinking and problem-solving skills and ability or strong potential to perform above grade level. Although the criteria are the same for all applicants, the verification process is different depending upon where your child is currently enrolled in school. I will explain the 3 different processes in the next 3 slides. Next slide. For district applicants, including students who are enrolled in the virtual academy, the district will conduct an online verification process in January, in which your child's principal will be asked to verify your child's eligibility based on instructional evidence from their teacher. If your child is enrolled in an LAUSD school, you must submit a choices application, but you do not need a separate verification eligibility form. Contact your child's LAUSD school for more information. Next slide. For non-district applicants, including students attending private schools and independent charter schools, the verification of eligibility form is required. You can download the form from our eChoices website, programs website, and request that your child's non-district school submit their verification by December 6th. This is new this year. In the past, we kept the same deadline as the application. The application is due by November 15th. The verification is now due by November 6th. There are 2 versions for the form, one for incoming kindergarten applicants and one for grades 1 through 12. Your child's school must submit the application of verification and eligibility form, and you as a parent must submit the choices application by November 15th to be included in the on-time application and selection process. Please note that verification forms or forms submitted by parents will not be accepted, so they must come directly from your child's current school. Next slide. If your child is not enrolled in school or is homeschooled without a verifying organization, you may contact us at gate@lausd.net for an alternate verification procedure. Information and detailed parent guardian guidance are also available on the Gifted Talented Programs website in English and in Spanish. You must submit a choices application and contact us before November 15th to initiate this alternate verification process. Next slide. We know this is a lot of information and we're here to help. We encourage you to check out these helpful videos that are available online to allow you to learn more about Schools for Advanced Studies, as well as the application and verification process. 2 of the videos are available on the Choices website and 1 is on the Gifted Talented Programs website. If you have questions, feel free to type them in the Q&A, or you can contact us at gate@lausd.net. Or the Choices support line, which we've shared before, 3-241-4177. We are also hosting a GATE SAS parent webinar on October, Graciana, remind me, October 16th, with more information on the SAS gifted application and verification process. This flyer is posted on the Gifted Talented website under families. Thank you for the opportunity to share more about Schools for Advanced Study. And now we can go to Q&A.
Yes.
Thank
Thank
you,
you so
Kevin.
much. Go ahead, Dunya.
Two questions I have on here. One is, if my child is gifted in math, can we apply to a gifted or highly gifted magnet program?
Yeah, if you have specific academic ability in math or language arts, either one is eligibility to apply to a gifted magnet or an SAS.
And another one, what is the difference between an SAS program and a gifted magnet?
Very good question, because that's the most asked question we get. So instructionally speaking, there's no difference. The difference is the priority points for a magnet, and that magnet has certain other rules they do through ethnicity. SAS does not have priority points. You can, this year, there used to be, you could only get transportation in magnet. Now everybody can opt in for transportation. The same rules apply for SAS as well. We do have a infographic at our website about the difference between the two and the similarities. You do not accrue points. You can't get matriculation points at an SAS, but instructionally speaking, they are almost identical.
Thank you.
Parents and families, you all are blowing up our chat and Q&A with awesome questions. We are staying on to answer as many as we can. I have dropped a couple times in the chat and in the Q&A where you can access this recording later on if that's helpful. So we'll do that again. But we also wanted to highlight, as we're answering questions, that on October 26th, live and in person, you can come to our Region East Choices Fair, where many of our school programs will be present at tables providing information about their schools and their programs. Excuse me, their dual language programs or their magnet programs. So come and join us on Saturday, October 26th at Esteban Torres High School. And from 9 a.m. until 1 p.m., we will have many different schools represented, elementary, middle, and high school, for you to come and talk to and interact with. Ask them questions about your child's IEP and what programs they offer. Find out about their science instruction, even though they're dual language. We would love to have you come. There will also be information about the choices application. So if you are having trouble for any reason, those folks that you met at the beginning of this webinar from Region East, our specialized enrollment folks, they'll be there with a table and to support with your application for any of our programs. So we hope that you'll join us on Saturday, October 26th to meet many of our school staff that are in the Choices Bulletin, live and in person. We hope that you'll stop by and talk to people and find out what might be a great fit for your child. So we look forward to seeing you there. And we're just going to, we dropped the flyers in the chat. So you should be able to access those on October 26th. That will be from 9 o'clock in the morning and we'll be there until 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So we hope you'll stop by. And we hope to have many of our schools represented. So that's going to be a great option. many schools hold tours and different options to visit during this choices window. So we encourage you to check out schools' websites, call them up, and ask them if they have available tours and visit options for parents. You're always welcome to visit our schools and see what's going on inside. I always invite you to do that, parents. And you know what else? I invite you to walk down the street to your neighborhood school and visit that too, because you'd be surprised at the amazing things going on in all of our Region East schools. So join us on the 26th. And then, Dunya, were there any additional questions you wanted to elevate at this time? We'll stay on for a little bit here.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, there are a few questions I just want to go over. I know many of these questions we did cover, but just to reiterate, because I know some families might have missed it. So one question was, are our siblings still able to apply together? And the answer to that is you would apply for them separately, but they will get priority for most of our programs. So if you have a student that's currently attending a school site where you want your second child to apply to, they will get priority. Same is true for if the students are twins. If you're applying for the same program and they're twins, they will get priority as well. Another one is asking about special ed programs. If my child has an IEP, can I apply for a magnet? Can I apply for an SAS program, etc.? Yes, we welcome all students. So regardless of whether your child has or does not have an IEP, they are welcome to apply to our programs. There are programs in the gifted that are called twice exceptional, meaning these are students that are both gifted and have an IEP. We have another question about zones of choice. What is the difference between zones of choice and choices? The difference is that zones of choice is a residential program, meaning that you have to live in a zone in order to qualify, in order to be able to apply for a zones of choice school. We have them in middle school and high school. And for choices, it's different because it's programs for all over the district, not just for a specific area. So most of our students can apply to any of the programs as long as they're eligible for it. Same question about our students who are English language learners. Can I apply for these programs? Yes, you may. We welcome every single student. So if you are interested in a program and you want more information about what the program expectations are, for example, I encourage you to talk to the school site so they can explain to you what is the instructional program like, so you can make an informed decision. Affiliated charter schools. Can I apply to an affiliated charter school if I do not live in the area? Yes, you can. It is available to all students, both in and outside of the LAUSD boundaries. And then there are several questions about permits. So we have two different types of permits. We have the intra-district permit. That is if you live in LAUSD boundaries and you want to apply to a school other than your resident school, you can submit an intra-district permit. If you live outside of LAUSD boundaries and you want to come to LA Unified, you can request what's called an inter-district permit. If you apply for either of these permits, you can still apply to a choices program. These are separate. One does not impact the other. You can apply to both, and then you will have a decision to make as to where you want your child to enroll. If the school accepted or approved that permit, you can choose to enroll at that school site, or if you were offered a seat through one of our choices program, you can also enroll at that program. So the decision is going to be yours. So if you are interested, I would suggest that you apply to both. And lastly, again, is this first come first serve? This application choices is not, the on-time application is not first come first serve. You can apply anytime between October 1st and November 15th. And then finally, if I have questions, who can I call or where can I call? I know our enrollment counselors entered their number on there, so you can contact them if you want to schedule an appointment with them. Or you can always call our support line, which is 213-241-4177. I think that's most of the questions that I was able to pick up as repeated questions.
Yeah, we have a great support team here in East, and you probably have seen them in the Q&A and the chat answering questions. So here are their contact information. So please reach out, and you may also see some of them at our in-person fair on October 26th at Torres High School from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m.
If I just may add, Megan, I just want to thank the families for being here today. Now that you've learned about all the amazing programs we offer, if at any point you have any questions or need support with the application process, please feel free to connect with one of us. We're more than happy to help you. Thank you.
Thank you. Please reach out again to our Region East team. We know that they were answering some questions in the chat, but you know, if you have any questions, you can call the line, you can send them an email, and they'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you all for being here today and learning about the different programs. Again, this is for the 2025-2026 school year. We hope to see you all at our in-person fair again, Saturday, October 26th, 9 a.m. at Esteban Torres High School. It's right off the 710. It's on Cesar Chavez and Eastern. If you take the 710, you can get off, and it's less than a mile off of the freeway. We hope to see you there bright and early. We'll be there, and it'll start at 9 a.m. We hope to meet a lot of you and answer questions that you might have, whether it's you're looking for schools in elementary, middle school, a span school, high school, special programs. That'll all be there for you all to be able to see all the different programs. So we thank you all for being here. We hope you have a great evening. And I'll go back to these emails one more time so that you can capture that, take a screenshot. We want to thank our presenters here today, and then also our interpretation services. Thank you so much for supporting our webinar today to bring this information to our families. We hope that you have an amazing evening, and we'll see you all for the next webinar in our next Family Academy. We'll see you in person. Have a great evening, everyone.